Oh, hey. Hello, people hiding behind the graphic.
Oh, hey.
He'll go away.
Hi.
Oh, hey, you are revealed. Hey, everybody, it's Thursday. We're Volition. We're doing our little stream again. Today, I felt like going back and taking a look at some stuff that other people here worked on in some capacity. So, hi, I'm Josh Stinson. I'm the stream czar and also associate video producer if I want to use my actual real title.
Wow.
And today we also have with us...
I'm Ryan Mansfield. I'm a QA tester here.
And Rob Gable, associate producer.
And before we jump into the game we're doing today, which is... I have the box here somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
We're doing Destroy All Humans, Path of the Furon, which I believe is the final...
Is the final
Destroy All
installment
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
great series.
Yeah. The third one, I think?
Fourth?
Well,
it's the third one in the main series, but I think there was an offshoot. Big Willie really.
Oh, was that one of those?
It was a Wii only game.
Yeah.
Wii only game. I think that's squeezed in between
okay.
2 and number 3 here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh. But yeah, right before we jump into that, in case you don't know or forget, we make video games also. We don't just play them. I mean,
I've been doing this one wrong.
I guess.
some people say, like, there have been comments like, man, you guys are just playing games on stream all the time. How are you making a game? But, like, keep in mind, there's like 200 of us here.
Yeah. Yes.
But Agents of Mayhem, new game we're working on. Last week, we showed something new for the game. Just one thing, but we'll take a quick look at it. Another skin, specifically for hardtack. We posted this on the 4th of July, being patriotic as fuck.
I love the way the skin turned out.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I really wish I could dress up like that and feel secure about myself in that way.
Right.
But yeah, that's another outfit. That's the second one we've shown specifically for hardtack. Our agents will have multiple skins and all that. You'll see
for sure.
more of them later on. Not every week, but we're going to be doing the Mayhem Minute on and off just to give people an update on what we're doing with the game every once in a while. And yeah, with that, let's jump into this game, which... Who should start first?
You probably don't want me to play. I was a QA tester on it.
Yeah. I want you to play. I'll start off.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I've not touched it in a decade.
And I was commenting on how unfortunate it is that we don't... Oh, we do have a second controller here.
We do.
Oh,
We can try some multiplayer.
Is it local multiplayer?
Let's see what's in
in this?
here. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god. So
Activate the second player.
this is going to link up to the PC, so I'm going to have to go sync it up with the 360.
Don't worry, let's skip it.
Okay.
Let's skip it.
Skip it for now.
There's a few multiplayer modes.
Yeah.
There's a few 3 competitive and 1 co-op, I want to say.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, the one I remember most clearly is a little soccer game. Each person's in front of a goal. It's basically 3D Pong, right? You're just kicking a soccer ball back and forth. Yeah, it was. It's one of those things where the multiplayer feels very shallow, and it feels like they added it so they could check a box. You know, so on the back of this. Yeah, on the back of this it says 1 to 2 player multiplayer. All right, so like,
I mean, it was like there were
off.
tons of games because this game released 2008.
Yep.
Yeah, so
It
like
had been to that.
Right.
really early still in the last generation of consoles, and I feel like back then almost every game was trying to put in multiplayer or co-op,
Yeah.
especially.
There was a huge push for that.
Everyone had it, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when BioShock 2 announced that they were going to add a multiplayer mode. And I actually heard it was pretty decent, but I didn't get to play
I never
myself.
played that. I never played the multiplayer.
But you're like,
BioShock 2.
after playing BioShock 1, you're like, why?
Yeah.
Multiplayer, but you had something you want to say about the...
Yeah, so one of the best bugs is that near the end of this game, we actually had a very critical bug open that they had forgotten about, is that this opening credits scene still had a watermark for a major video game website on it. And they were going to submit this to Microsoft with a watermark in it for a video that was not theirs. So they had to go through and make a whole new video for everything on this main menu because they were just ripping off a website and put it in the background.
Yeah, and that's actually a good preview into... here, I'll start the game up here.
Let's get these cutscenes rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, these are awesome.
The talking about that, a watermark from a game gaming website being on like something a game like officially released or almost did. Do you know Okami did that?
Oh, really?
Did they really
hear that?
So the not the PS2, but the Wii version, the Wii port of Okami.
Right.
It's very faint, but if you look at the actual cover art on the box, there is an IGN watermark very faintly in the bottom right. They, yeah, and so like they actually had a recall. Like, if you don't want the IGN watermark faintly on your game box, please send us, the cover, and we'll send you a new one.
Wow.
Oh, I do remember that.
How does that really get by? I guess no one would watch that.
It was really, really faint. It was actually a little easy to miss, but like if you looked at it for like more than like a minute,
Yeah.
you'd go like, what?
You'd see it. It would
Yeah.
be right there.
The time is nearly at hand. A great wrong will be righted, an ancient prophecy fulfilled, and a hero of legend will arise.
So I never played Destroy All Humans past the first game,
Okay.
but I really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah.
So like I remember when this one came out, it's like, I don't have too many games for like my 360 yet. This might be cool, and then I saw the reviews and I was like, oh, that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it wasn't received all that well. As we'll talk about, there's a lot of kind of roadblocks in the development of this game.
Yeah.
That kind of, you weren't really sure when it was going to come out, and then it eventually came out. And if I remember correctly, it came out in North America. It's only on 360.
Yeah.
PS3 never got released in North America. It did overseas. It is in Europe and
Oh, okay.
Australia, I think. And that's a weird decision as part of the submission process.
Usually, if you're going to skip a country, you skip Australia.
Yeah, because their ratings board
because of the
is
ratings,
a lot stricter.
Among these humans.
What invested? I'm just running a little business on the side.
I had to put these headphones on just so I could hear the Jack Nicholson
The
impression
Jack
again.
Nicholson impression, yeah, I was gonna call that out. It's so
It's the
so
same-
campy.
Same voice actor for all the games, and I've always wondered whose idea it was and who also approved the alien being Jack Nicholson.
Right.
Or how Jack Nicholson probably didn't have a real problem with this being what
Yeah.
was done.
I always just wonder, like, maybe he didn't notice, or
Has made us enemies on the
Jack
street.
Nicholson, you don't not notice this.
yeah.
Murray.
You ain't getting crap out of me.
Oh, the number of times I've seen this opening sequence. I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, so what were the two of you doing specifically on this game?
Why don't you?
I was an art tester
Okay.
on this game near the end of it.
And I was gameplay. This is actually, so I've been at Volition for 9 years now. This is actually the very first game I worked on.
Okay.
Me too.
September 2007. And then you started?
I started in October.
October, okay. Yeah, and a lot of people at Volition worked on this. Actually, that's something we should clear up here. So this was developed by Sandblast Games out
Yeah.
in Seattle, I think.
Yeah.
And they're no longer around. At Volition, we had a sizable group that was doing QA for it.
Yeah, because I just collect all like the old stuff that's still lying around here that people have forgotten. So like I have discs of builds for games that Volition never ever worked on. Like there's like Stuntman Ignition. I have like an
Yeah.
early build, and then I have like a release build on a disc just written in Sharpie like Stuntman Ignition. It's like, why is this here? And then that's when I learned that like Volition has done QA for other games that aren't ours before.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of supplemental QA on THQ titles.
Yeah.
And actually the first two titles, so we each worked on Da to start, and then we each moved on to Frontline's Fuel of War, which is made by Chaos Studios.
QA did work for them as well.
Yeah, I was on for that for a couple months.
Now you want to be careful. You can actually push him through the wall if you're not careful here, and then you're just stuck in a room.
Can you restart? Is there the ability to restart?
You have to go back to
from
the main
checkpoint?
menu.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
Your brain case.
As far as I remember. Yeah, you're actually only like 2 feet below the casino. They actually put this one underneath the casino.
A stronger method of persuasion.
There's the gun. Actually, I have you take over here because I just remembered I brought a friend.
Really? Oh my god.
So this is crypto. This is bobblehead
Is this-
crypto.
okay, that is for this game, too.
Yes. Yeah, this is for this game.
Wow.
I can't remember if it was a pre-order bonus or what. We got a box of them shipped here, and people who worked on the game got
Right. Oh man.
got crypto bobbleheads. I looked it up on eBay last night. It's worth between $11 and $22.
All right.
And I'm gonna do
Sounds
this.
like you retired
I'm
early.
gonna like have the value of this thing and actually take it out after
Oh my god.
how many
Oh,
years?
no, the
After
unboxing.
8 years.
The
Pull
unboxing.
this guy out and put him right next to us. Yeah, maybe if I can get him out.
Yeah, here actually, we will go full screen
Ooh.
for this
Fancy
bobblehead.
for this one.
Oh yes.
The unboxing of crypto.
Oh, come on out, buddy.
I mean, this is going up on YouTube later. This fits right in.
yeah. Do a whole unboxing. There's crypto right there. He's gonna sit right down here. He should have his own name. Who's in charge of the names there? Let's get his name up there.
I would have to run back to my
Can't do
office.
it. Can't
I'm
do it.
Ryan Mansfield, AQ analyst.
Oh no, AQ analyst. Oh, I don't know who fucked up, but I'm gonna have to yell at him. It was me.
There we go. We got Crypto and Pox. Buddy. If I recall the story correctly, so I hadn't played the previous two games. I haven't played the previous two games.
I still have not either. Never played them.
Played this one a lot.
Yeah.
But I believe the story here is that Crypto's still on Earth and he's still supposed to be collecting humans or something like that. And but he kind of got tired of it, so he started his own casino. And this is not Las Vegas. This is.
I have no idea what the name of this one is called.
Los Paradiso or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's it. Los Paradiso.
Is that it? Yeah. Okay.
Because we can pay for the Jack Nicholson voice, but we can't use Las Vegas.
Right. Yeah. So him and his buddy Pox are running around, and Pox is an AI, holographic AI, because he lost his body maybe in one of the previous games.
Drive through them? Oh, yeah, I did hit them. It doesn't do anything. Hit the cardigan right through them.
So on this game, when I first joined this game, I was on for a couple months, and I was a gameplay tester. I got a fun story about that, actually. I was assigned to World 3, which is Paris. It's in the game it's called Belleville, I want to say.
Belleville. It's Paris. It has the Statue of Liberty in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And I was brand new to the industry. I didn't know how anything worked. And we're given this game, and you have trouble starting it or getting in. There's a lot of crashes. In the area I was in, I think there's about 5 missions per world. And the world I was in had 2 of them weren't implemented yet, so they just didn't exist. One would crash right at the beginning. So there were 2 missions that functioned. And I was put on the missions for that, so I had 2 of them. And I was told I needed to test those. That's my responsibility. And then for a period of time, it was about a month, we didn't get any new builds. So I was testing the same 2 missions.
Oh boy.
8 hours a day for a month.
Oh man.
So for anybody who ever asks, and they're like, "Oh, if you're in QA, you just play the game all day." I'm like, "Oh yeah, listen to that." That was my introduction to QA here.
Well, it was the same for art.
Yeah.
It was even worse, because then you just end up putting in, whatever bug you can find, because you've got to put something in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had one bug, and it ended up being something like the water effect is not flowing. That's what I'm down to. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat was actually asking what exactly an art tester was, because they thought it was like approving screenshots for the game and stuff.
Oh man, I'd love that. That'd be really easy. No. So when an artist makes the whole world, they're doing it very quickly. They're going to leave things floating in the world. They're going to leave seams you can look through. An art tester goes through and finds all those problems. We also deal with a lot of the technical stuff. So, you don't see a pedestrian running up against a wall for 10 straight minutes. I got to figure out why they do that, and so on and so forth. I wish it was just as easy. I just look at pictures all day.
It's especially challenging with open world games.
Yeah.
And this is kind of has 5 small open worlds you can run around in. But yeah, talking about the Saints Row games, you got to look in every nook and cranny. You got to see if there's stretched textures or if there's missing geometry, especially if it could affect gameplay where the player could get out of the world and end up breaking their experience.
Right.
Nero's Palace, all right.
So like,
Nero Palazzo's casino.
So sorry, my bad.
so like, despite testing this forever ago. Do you still find yourself having like muscle memory for this stuff?
Yeah. So that trick where you saw me like scooting across the ground, his jetpack is a lot faster. However, once he enters the descending phase, once you run out of jetpack fuel, it's actually a lot slower than walking. So you want to land immediately and begin recharging that before you take off again. And it's just the fastest way to get around. I think when we were doing this in test, we could get from the top of that casino over to this trigger before all of the conversations had actually ended.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
And that would screw things up. So now they wouldn't even let you start that if you got there early.
Yeah.
Oh, so bad.
Somebody asking if this is HTDQ. Do you think either of you could be capable of like doing a speed run of this?
If
Not like on the spot, by I mean.
Yeah.
if I had a little bit of time, I'm sure I could.
Okay.
You could probably get there. You're much better at that than I am.
I don't know if anyone has ever speedrun this game.
Yeah, I don't know.
could set a record.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because the games on quick things happening right now, I've been looking up a bunch of games going,
Right.
like, do they have speed runs? Does 50 Cent One the Sand have a speed run? Yes, it does.
It does.
Current like world record is like an hour 24 minutes or something like that. I'm tempted to try and break the record. I've never done a speed run before, but I love that game.
Why are people not scared of Crypto as he's running around? They
always refer to him as a little person.
Yeah, is it something like because he
they-
messes with people's minds, so they see him as a little person or something, or that's just part of the joke. I can't remember if that's explained.
It's been a long time since I've
It's
played
not
the
really
first,
explained
but-
in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, having
Oh,
played.
that's right. I forgot that Mike lived in Vegas.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Where we
right.
bringing back
Stole him
memories.
from.
I'm off the floor 10 seconds and the place comes apart. What the hell happened here?
So, for people who may not know, and this is integral to the story of this game and how it eventually got released, as games are nearing the end of development, they go into heavier QA testing, and that's to not only make sure that they're functional for the people who play and that it's a good experience, catch any of the weird visual bugs, but also there's standards that the first party set that you have to meet. For example, one is at least this generation or the previous generation. I can't remember for this generation, but load time loading into a game on Xbox had to be under a minute, had to be under 60 seconds, and there has to be some kind of on load screens, there has to be something that's engaging for the player. So we were helping with a lot of the art and functionality testing for this game, and THQ, I think, was handling some of the compliance. We put some people on it later on. When I first started in that September of 2007, I was told that this game would be submitting in a month, and at the time I was like, wow, this game's going to make a lot of progress in a month. I just didn't realize how games were developed and how unrealistic that goal was. Obviously that shifted, and it was over a year before the game eventually shipped out.
Yeah.
Every game should have a swear button. The reason why I say it's important for this is that's one of the reasons why this never came out on PS3. Is
They couldn't figure out the memory.
well,
a long time.
it got submitted. It did get submitted, and got submitted in North America for Xbox and for PS3, and it passed Xbox. There may have been a patch agreement. I can't remember, but on the Sony side, it didn't pass, and I can't remember what the issue was that prevented it from passing. It may have been that there were a lot of bugs. On the way the reports work is if there's a large number of bugs, they eventually
does
push you over a
points.
threshold.
Yeah, Sony does points.
They used to. I think they don't anymore, but they used to. Or if you had a couple critical bugs, that would also push you across the threshold. But anyways, this ended up getting kicked. And normally what would happen is you'd fix those issues and resubmit. Well, there's a fee for resubmission, and at the time, the old THQ, they decided not to not to pay that fee. For whatever reason, that was the final cutoff. However many thousands of dollars it was to resubmit
After
keeping this development going and going and going for a
man.
long time. They finally
But
said.
then Australia, they were all aboard Australia.
Well, because I think it got through submission in Europe, and so we did our initial submission.
Oh, they have
in these other
different
ones.
rules depending on each.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Microsoft had more like a worldwide submission. But Sony's broken up by territories.
Okay.
Yeah. So it passed those, but it didn't pass North America. And then I always asked because this game, and we can get into some of that backstory, but this game kind of limped along for for a long time where it wasn't getting the development attention it needed.
Yeah.
And
It ended up. I kept asking him, like,
the D-pad doesn't even work here.
yeah.
Does it just? It's not,
It doesn't do anything. You have to actually use the thumbs up.
Oh man.
Fine. Give me a half-baked.
But this is interesting because I think Kotaku or somebody just put out a story, or maybe it was Polygon, about the story behind StarCraft Ghost. Like, what happened there? It was in development for a long time. It got canceled. I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but I do want to dig into that one because I find this stuff fascinating. In a game like this that hit a lot of hurdles in its development, I remember asking the question because we had people here working long hours to help test the game and get it ready for submission.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, I remember the button to get in there.
Why are we continuing to? Why isn't this just canceled? You know, like at what point do you draw the line? Is it in another month? Is it another couple months? And the response I got was kind of interesting. It's not how much money have you sunk into it at this point, but how much are you going to get back versus the cost of finishing.
Yeah.
Right? So you're at least getting some return on what you're continuing to invest. And I guess that when it got kicked from Sony that one time, that was it. Like it must have crossed something like, oh,
Right.
can't recoup this.
So there is a bug in the game, and I don't know if they ever fixed it, but there's a way to approach this building and get the saucer stuck in it before it loads in.
Oh
You
geez.
can see how it's only half loaded right now.
Yeah.
If I can get everything to unload, there is a way to do it. There was at the time.
I remember.
I think you have to come back with some upgrades and do it.
Okay. Like something that increases your speed, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely possible to get in there.
Would you have to like back up into it? Would that keep it from like loading in all the way?
No.
If you're not looking at it.
I don't think so.
I
I'm
think
pretty
the
sure you
streaming's
can
based
get
on player position as
Okay,
opposed
just
to
position.
line of sight. Yeah.
player
Right.
position and player direction on that site. The vehicle system is based on line of sight.
Okay.
So if I turn around and run backwards, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There are no vehicles behind me. All the vehicles will come from in front of me,
Right.
and then when I get close to where I want to be, I can turn around. He, however, does not move as fast backwards as he does forward.
Yeah. Isn't that how a lot of vehicle systems still work for the most part?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You save a lot, at least in memory, if you do things only the player can see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tricks you do. Like occluders are a thing that you build into
Buildings in the ground.
buildings and really
Yeah.
anything that would obscure the player's view. So behind some of these buildings, it would unload
you see me.
some geometry and textures to save memory.
Yeah. It just reminds me that like before I started working here, like years ago actually, when I was still in college, like I just kind of figured out how it kind of worked in
Yeah.
open world games just by observing, especially because there's the game L.A. Noire.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that was back then. I was still a person who was like still kind of interested in just getting trophies and achievements just because.
Right.
That was like right at the tail end of that phase. And there was one that was like, oh, get into every car in the game. But that's ends up being very difficult because certain regions only have certain cars and they only spawn. Some of them are very hard to get to spawn, and so you were basically gaming how the game would populate vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Like walking back and forth between like this one area and like looking and then backing up and then looking back so that you would respawn the cars, like re-roll and get the car you
Yeah,
wanted to get
exactly.
into.
This is a good point that Plato of Athens brings up here. So the first two games were developed by Pandemic.
Yeah, that's right.
And but they were published by THQ, and THQ owned the IP. And then I can't remember if it was before or after EA picked up Pandemic.
Yeah.
It must have been after. And THQ still wanted to make another Destroy All Humans game, so they had Sandblast make it that used to be Cranky Pants. I was looking it up before because I couldn't remember, but so Cranky Pants did an Evil Dead game, and then they did this, and that may be it. That may be it. They switched their name to Sandblast.
Was it Evil Dead, the Temple of Elemental Evil, or something like that?
It was
because there were like I think there were two
Redemption or something like that.
Was it the one that was like a third-person action game, kind of like Devil May Cry?
Yeah,
or
and
something?
he had like a little
he had
mutant.
Yeah, he had the
buddy who was
little
going
mutant
around
guy with him.
Yeah.
I remember playing that game. It was actually decent, I think.
One of our guys later in development, as there were fewer and fewer people at Sandblast to help finish this game, we sent some of our QA guys out there, and the lead at the time, Scott Fisher, he went out there, and when he returned, he brought back a signed poster for the game. It was signed by Bruce Campbell.
Oh wow,
it's pretty cool. Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
So it hanging in his house.
Yeah.
I won't splatter your brains all over the desk.
Out of respect.
One of the nearby mobsters must know it. Look for a mobster with something
Oh,
on
there's
his
gas in
mind
this game?
cortex.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Where's the sign?
it's around here somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
When you're running around, I was just seeing you flying the UFO. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of things I enjoyed about the controls in this game.
Yeah, I never played this one until. Oh my God! What? Oh well, I guess it is like the
75 cents, 80, and 85.
It takes place in the 70s.
the 70s, early 70s, I think. So that might be accurate. I'm not sure. Yeah, like I played the hell out of the first Destroy All Humans, and the controls in this one feel a lot tighter and like streamlined in this one compared to the first. Because in the first game, you couldn't fly and shoot at the same time, if I remember correctly.
What are they shooting at? Each other?
Whoa. What is happening?
I don't remember what was supposed to
I don't
happen.
know.
Huh.
You're supposed to read their minds.
Yeah.
Corned beef sandwich, corned beef sandwich.
I remember
Corned
that
beef
line.
sandwich.
Sandwich. Not very inventive.
The
Don Straniero. I regret
the
that I must
robustness
ask
of the
you.
controls, so where you could do the multiple abilities together, like you were saying, actually led to some fun issues.
They're waiting for
Like you could
inside, Don Straniero.
telekinesis a bench, but then you could jump on the bench while you're telekinesising it, and you could basically use it as a platform and fly yourself around the world.
Oh, wow.
We
We
made
made a
take yourself
game.
up and out of the skybox.
That was actually one of the things we did. You could do that with a car and surf it
Yeah,
around the whole world.
Yeah.
Some people were actually very good about getting onto the car and then using telekinesis while you're standing on it, and it'll throw you across the world, and they'll end up like right in front of like the mission trigger.
Can you
Like,
still
oh,
do that in the released version?
Should be able to.
Okay.
That is
You
one
can-
I'm pretty sure they didn't fix.
They put something on it so that you couldn't just ride it forever out of the world.
Okay.
Once you start, it only goes for so long before it disappears.
We've all got our eccentricities, Don Straniero.
Because Crypto himself, I don't think has a world ceiling. The UFO does,
Right.
but Crypto himself does not. So you could ride the
Up and
car up and away.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It pains me to say it. Omini verdi piccoli.
Somebody mentions Nolan North up there. He does a voice in this game.
Does he?
He does, I think
He's
does
been in everything.
Emperor Meningitis.
Oh, okay.
What's getting into you?
Is it a voice different from like? Because well, this was 2008, so I think the first Uncharted was out by this. I think it came out the year before.
Okay.
So I feel like that
sounds
Uncharted was like the dawn when everybody wanted Nolan North to do his normal Nolan North voice.
Yeah.
So is he doing something different than that voice here? Do you remember?
How soon do we get to see him? We don't get to see that
Not for a while.
Okay.
Because we gotta go to Hollywood,
Yeah.
then to Paris,
Okay.
then to Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and then outer space.
And he's only in the last one?
I'm pretty sure. Well, he might show up
Probably
in
some
Hong Kong.
cutscenes or something.
He might show up like in Hong Kong, but you don't
They
see him
mentioned
again.
at the beginning of
That
this
is a
one,
huge
but-
cigar.
The whole table's on fire. You don't see it right now. Whole thing is up in smoke.
Man, it's like it'll take like a day to smoke through.
You used to be my godfather. You are dead to me.
So much time in this part of the game. This opening part.
Yeah. We got stuck with it because they took out all the debug commands to let us go further in the game. You had to progress naturally.
Man,
The
right.
did you just have to like? Well, no, This game doesn't have multiple save slots, does it?
Nope, one.
Yeah.
You only have one save.
Man, so you couldn't even have multiple saves to make it a little easier?
No,
If
and
somebody
also,
did a speed run, we could pass saves around on the network, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So you
But-
grab somebody else's
right.
save.
So the saves were also unique for each build. So if you had
Right.
a build that was later than mine, it wouldn't work anymore.
Oh,
or if
man.
it did work, you couldn't bug anything in it because the devs would say that it was because the build was different.
Right. Oh, man.
I don't remember, what's the yellow trigger?
There. I remember there were some like
It's like a
activities,
distraction.
right? Yeah.
Oh.
There was one where you had to chase a boulder across the city, or throw a boulder across the
Throw a boulder across the city?
city. Yeah.
I don't remember how to land or get out of this damn thing.
Is it Y again?
No, that's cloak.
Oh, right.
Yeah, draw distance is amazing.
I guess hit all the buttons.
If you got close enough to the ground, would you just get out?
No.
Oh, there's landing
It's
pads.
landing
Landing
pads.
pads.
I thought
Okay.
there was a way to get out.
Is there ever a point in QA where there's just the press all the buttons and see what happens thing?
Yeah,
Course,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do that very frequently.
Yeah.
Just get into a new interface, smash all the buttons.
Yeah, I've always been
Just because
curious
they
about
don't
that.
say that B does something does not mean that it does not do
Right.
something really cool.
I mean, like, when I first learned what QA was when I was, like, 12 or 14 or something like that, I was like, do they just hit all the buttons a lot to see if the game breaks? I was like, I guess that part's kind of true.
Yep. I'm very opposed to reading any instruction manual ever.
Right.
I want to just sit there and like face roll over the controller or keyboard and figure out what it is.
I'm looking through. I brought a cheat sheet. Brought some notes from.
Oh man.
As I was thinking about this over the past week, reminiscing. It's good times. This is like a fun team that was together for this.
I've never bricked a 360, but I know how to crash it
Okay.
with just the controller buttons. Like it's a system level crash on a 360, not game specific.
And just a normal 360?
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. What do you do?
So if you press the 4 shoulder buttons
Yeah.
and the guide button,
Uh-huh.
if you do that repeatedly, you'll eventually hit the timing for it, and it'll just shut off the system.
Weird. Is that just a bug, or was it
I
like an
assume
intentional thing?
I assume it's part of whatever the software is for the console.
Yeah.
But I found it on Saints Row 2,
Okay.
and turns out it wasn't our doing, because I thought it was part of the game. I thought it was part of the game. I was always in the game when I did it, and I smashed the buttons one time out of frustration, and it just turned off my kit. I'm like, oh my god, no!
Remove the pagan slot machine idol from
Maddie in the chat was telling me that for people who develop Android games, they just have a thing called monkey.jar that is just a bot in the Android SDK that matches virtual buttons and apps to test responses.
Good stuff, Pox.
I see it getting new.
Oh, here's what I was telling you guys about this yesterday. The bug tracking software we used on Destroy All Humans is called Bugzilla.
Bugzilla.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
it
a
was.
database where you can go. You have required fields you need to fill out, like steps to reproduce and description and
Yeah.
repeatability. And then when you submit it, it submits it to whatever dev needs to fix it, and then they'll put in a fix for it and send it back to the tester to regress, to verify that it's actually fixed and close out the bug. And when the dev returns it, there's different statuses they can mark. They can mark fixed, they can mark needs more information, or they could mark as designed or
Right.
no plans to fix. In Bugzilla, it was called no plans to fix, and I remember somebody got a bug back on some wacky bug. It might have been the one. I remember in here, like somebody, because we were in the same area for so long, somebody bugged that the sun rose in the west and set in the east.
I did that.
Did you do that? Did you do that? Okay, so you're the asshole that did that one.
The sun's in the wrong place for the time, and the shadows are wrong.
Yeah.
I did that.
So I don't remember. I don't think it was that one. I think it was some other one. But instead of responding with no plans to fix, the dev responded with no plans to care, which was
oh my god,
which was always an entertaining one to get back. And then there was another. Were you around for the magical journey bug? Do you remember that one? That might have been far later in development.
I don't remember it, but you might start and I remember.
I think it was in the last area, but it was a bug. As I said, one of the required fields was steps to reproduce. And usually you have a handful of steps, like start the game, load into this level, start this mission, do this thing, so on and so forth. And this one had, I want to say, like 20 plus steps to it. It was this really involved bug that involved going to specific locations and doing things there and then coming back. And the result was bad. I think it would crash or hang or something like that.
Yeah.
But nobody would ever do that. Besides people who are living in the game 8 to 12 hours a day for a year, you know? Mm-hmm. And we called it the magical journey bug. Because you had to follow all those steps in order.
We had one of those on SR2. It was, who found it? I cannot remember his name. But it ended with start game, play entire game through from start to finish. Start new game again. Play first 7 missions. Observe crash.
Wow.
So it was literally, and the best we could do, this would have been like a 6-hour bug. Mm-hmm. And that's for a tester to do this. And the dev looked at it and sent it back. Don't care.
No.
It will not even try to look into this.
So was that bug something where you had to play through the game in one go?
Yes, you had to do this all in one run.
Okay,
one shot.
So
you couldn't turn off the console.
Okay, if you saved and came back, the bug would never happen.
Right.
Wow.
It was probably something in memory that after that many missions, the game just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Huh.
But if you're playing, how many missions did SR2 have? Like 40? Because each faction had its own, and then you had Ultor at the end and Julius at the end. It was just something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was supposed to be doing. You took the controller away. I'm completely dead now.
I don't know what you're supposed to do. I want to get my hands on it. I want to try out it. Loose slots. I get it. And there's a couple meanings there.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah. Check in, but they don't check
can you do telekinesis on somebody?
Yeah.
Because you guys pointed this out before we started, and I was like, oh, this does look very familiar.
It is extremely familiar.
Yeah, sure. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a direct inspiration, but the way that telekinesis works in Saints Row 4 when we introduce the superpowers, controls very similar to this game. And that's another thing that I call out is the controls for a lot of the abilities in this feel very intuitive. Like once you get the hang of them, it's quite a bit of fun. You unlock at least 4 different ones, right? There might be more than that. I'm trying to remember what they all are. So telekinesis, you can read people's minds. What are the other ones that you get?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'm not sure either.
You can press Irene back or start now, and you can see. Nope, that's the really weird map. Press RB.
Yeah.
RB. I don't think it's going to be
somewhere.
in here.
Whoosh.
Whoosh.
Alright, find out where the dish is installed.
Now we gotta find out where the dish is installed. Okay.
You have to read people's minds. Read their minds. I already know where the dish is, but this is for their edification.
So police have installed an emergency broadcast system dish. Oh, so much safer.
Oh, and that's the world unloaded. That's him doing this.
Oh, really?
There's no collision in the world, so
the pop in.
They make you stop there for a while.
Huh.
Every time one reads the minds of the
time freeze. That's another one, right?
One is
Yes,
time freeze?
Path of the mind. You get to spend the brain DNA on each of these and make them more powerful.
Nothing. I must be hearing.
Going up.
Yeah, is it on the backside? I can't remember.
It's on top. But you get on that side right there.
Yeah, that side, yeah.
And then there's a little thing. I believe you have to stand on that jutting up part to make it.
So like seeing how telekinesis between this and SR4, like control wise and all that, you know, they look pretty similar and stuff. When you know, we were still doing stuff for THQ. Also, when I say THQ, this is every time. When we say THQ, we mean old THQ, the one that doesn't exist.
Right.
THQ is still around, but the name was bought by our friends at Nordic Games.
Right. Yeah.
This is old. This is RIP THQ.
Yeah, RIP THQ. But you know, so many people, different studios are making games for THQ. Did those studios ever like work together to like just share tech or something to make development easier? Because I know some studios have done that before, but I had no idea like how much like back then if we talked to the other studios owned by THQ much or anything like that.
At least for stuff like this, I know that when we're making games, we take a lot of inspiration from other groups.
Yeah, you're talking about sharing tech specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
Who is this guy and why do I care?
I don't know how much that was done. We all know what happened to old THQ in the end. I got a little taste of it my first year here. So when I started in late 07, THQ had, I want to say, 16 studios. And after Destroy All Humans and Frontlines, I moved into a training role. We were hiring up a lot of people here, and at one point we had, I think we peaked around 130 testers on site that would primarily focus on Volition games, but also do other THQ titles.
Why is it not grabbing?
And I put together a presentation so people would get to know THQ and all the studios and what games they've done. And it was kind of depressing because over the course of the next year, I had to whittle that down from 16 studios to 8 in a year. It dropped in half, and then it just kind of slowly bled out from there. I think before they finally shuttered, there's 4 maybe.
Yeah,
like
something
Lost Vigil, Relic.
Work on the tower.
Blanket. Chaos was shut down by then. So I'm not aware. Quite a few of the studios would do ports. So there'd be the main SKU for whatever title, and then it would get ported to, you know, like Wii and maybe handheld consoles and stuff like that. So a few of the studios focused primarily on that. I'm not sure if they shared. They obviously had to use some of the tech that the studio that initially developed the game created.
I got kids to think about.
So, but as far as sharing other stuff, I don't know how often that happened. There were summits where people from different THQ studios would get together and talk about the games they're working on, look at the upcoming schedule and all of that. And we do some of that with Deep Silver now as well. A couple times a year, I believe they get people working on different games together. Take a look at them.
Yeah, I never knew if like studios that were like under the same publisher or something, you know, ever. Because I've only heard like 1 or 2 stories of like, oh, there were certain studios that were really close, so they would share their tech all the time.
Yeah.
It was like Insomniac and Naughty Dog or something, but I also think they like shared offices back then or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it was just like, hey, come on over or something like that. So
that's
how it goes. Hey guys, just come on over.
Yeah, hey, come on over.
I'm not
bring
sure
the pizza pot.
if people know or not, but like Volition we develop our own engines in-house for all of our games. And there's definitely times in the past when we've talked to THQ, or I think we had some talks with Deep Silver when they first took us over with the Saints Row engine, for example.
Yeah.
Would it make sense for other studios to use this tech? There's a pretty big support cost. So a lot of studios license other engines, like Unreal, for example.
Wow.
Unreal also provides a ton of support.
Yeah.
For the development. So for us to be able to adequately support our own games plus another studio is pretty intensive.
Yeah.
It's quite an investment. But those talks continue to happen because there are a lot of benefits that can be had.
Right.
Keep running your holographic
You can pick up the generators with the UFO.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Nope. You clearly don't. I'm an idiot.
That's what I was thinking you had to do too. Maybe there was another.
It wouldn't let me grab it.
Telekinesis. It won't let you.
It wouldn't let me do it. I tried.
Huh.
Oh,
Unless I'm
do
doing
you have
it
to shoot it
completely
with the lightning gun first? Is that right, or to get it going?
Sure, we'll try that. Why not?
Yeah. Bring 2 generators to the roof.
We're just gonna toast everybody.
Yeah, take them all out. So I got into, I hinted at earlier some of the challenges with this game.
Oh, there goes. Okay, maybe he just wants this one first. Who knows?
One of the ones is, if anybody looks up Sandblast, you'll see that this is the last game they released.
Yeah.
So during the development of it, it was, and with the old THQ woes at the time, it was becoming clear this would be the last game that Sandblast worked on. And, as you can imagine, for people developing the title, that's kind of a hit to morale, and they're like, there may not be a future at this studio, so, do I start looking around? And,
Right.
So as they were trying to finish this game, people started leaving. They left for opportunities elsewhere.
Right.
And that really, trying to push a game to get it done, usually you want an all-hands-on-deck type situation, and that wasn't what existed here. So I'd say from early 2008 until it's submitted, like late summer, early fall, I can't really. It came out in October.
It came out. I don't think it came out. I think it came out a little earlier than that. But it was later in the year.
It was later in the year. So there's a long stretch where there are fewer and fewer people available to fix bugs or implement the new content, and it kind of prolonged getting this game done, and it hit a point where they were kind of running with a skeleton crew there.
Right.
And we sent some people here. We sent 4 or 5 testers from here out that had varying backgrounds. So one kind of acted as more of a producer out there. A couple of them had computer science backgrounds and could help with fixing some of the bugs in code. I think we had somebody who had a knack for art. I can't remember though. But we sent some people to have more support on site for them out there, which really made a big difference as you're trying to final a game and get it ready for submission. Having access to somebody right there, not in a different time zone than you, not where you have to. And we didn't all have smartphones and everything back then. It was harder to get like FaceTime with somebody.
I had a flip phone. That thing was awesome.
yeah.
Where was Sandblast located?
I think Seattle.
Seattle, okay.
I think Seattle, yeah. But they were out there for a couple months.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so they got sent out there. They were living in a hotel for a couple months.
All right.
And then that's actually when they got sent out is when I got pulled back onto Destroy All Humans. So I was kind of on when we first had it, and then I was on right at the end. And I started off as gameplay tester. I came back as lead. There was 20 people, 25 people on the team at the time. I came back as a lead because the person who was lead for this ended up going out to Seattle. So for a couple months, I was lead at the end, trying to help get this game tested and ready for submission here, while they're doing the same out there.
Right.
Worked in coordination. It was pretty interesting. One of the people who was sent out there, who was in a relationship with one of the testers who was still here, not on Destroy All Humans, but on a different project, on Red Faction Gorilla, I think. So the girl who was sent out there was sent out, and they didn't know how long it was going to be at the time. But the boyfriend here was getting anxious. He's like, "Oh, when is my girlfriend going to return?" So I was getting IMs like every day, like, "Hey, can you just like call it good enough? Just like say you're good, and then she can come back home and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh no, that's not how it works."
Jeez.
But, yeah. It's a very unique situation for this game.
Yeah, I've never heard that happening before with the game.
It's interesting. It's part of the identity of our industry. Is the stories behind the games aren't shared all that often.
Yeah.
Just not enough, unfortunately, because then sometimes people feel like they're struggling through these challenges alone when really lots of other teams have been through them before.
Right.
So you don't hear about this stuff, and usually when something really doesn't work out, you don't get the backstory too much. But yeah, really just interesting situation. Very challenging for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And the game definitely, I think, fell short of goals. You were talking earlier, the Metacritic is sitting in mid-30s.
Yeah.
Remember, we're rounding up 35.
35. So round up, take that 35. And it's. Man, working on a game again. This is the first game we worked on, and it comes out, and you want to tell everybody about it and be really proud of it. And this one, like I said, fell short in some areas.
I was just happy it was done.
Yeah, we definitely hit that part or that point where people who were working on were kind of zombies.
Yeah.
They're working a lot of extra time to help get it done for months and months and months. And then even months after it was done, we left a really, really small crew of 2 or 3 people to keep supporting it as we went through the submission process in these different areas.
Yeah. So at that point, well, I guess you elaborate on that a bit, but like those few people still working on it and going through submission, would they still be like, if it failed and they were allowed to retry submission again, would that mean they would be going back and fixing even more bugs?
Yeah.
In
You
that
have
small
to-
crew? Okay.
So if it fails submission, someone's got to go through and fix those things that they found.
Okay.
Because when you resubmit, those are going to be the first thing that Microsoft or Sony go track down.
Right.
Because they already know you failed for it.
Not only do you have to fix that stuff, but you have to go back and retest the game to make sure something didn't break elsewhere.
Right. A fix doesn't break something else somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as an example, some of these standards you have to adhere to. There's one where, man, we wrapped our brains around it for quite a bit. But if you have your Xbox plugged into a router, and if you ever yank the network cord from your Xbox, it has to gracefully handle that.
Yeah.
If you yank it from the router, gracefully means that the Xbox doesn't crash.
Yeah.
The game notifies you with an error message. And if you unplug from the router, it has to do that. Well, there's an issue where if you unplugged the uplink cable to the router, that it would cause a hang that would last over a period of time, and that would be, I think that was one of the issues that came back from Xbox.
If you unplugged it from the router, that's what happened, but if you unplugged it from the Xbox, it was a different result.
Yeah, I think so. So we were fine on like 2 pieces of the chain for connecting to the internet, but one piece, when you disconnected it causes issues. So again, those very particular the kinds of things that you need to test for.
Yeah, because in testing, all we did was unplug it from the back of our kit.
Right, that makes sense.
So that one came back, and I remember someone walked over to the wall and pulled the plug out of the wall, and then it did exactly what they said. And they're like, that's absolutely heartbreaking to see that.
But yeah, those are the things we kind of had to test. So we kept that really small group on it just to kind of herd it through the submission process for those last few. But when it failed that Sony submission and didn't release in North America, and THQ made the call to do that, that's the first time I ever heard of anything like that. That's really bizarre. I mean, the game is basically done. It's sitting there. All they'd have to do is pay this final fee, which I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is.
Yeah.
I have a more entertaining idea.
This reminds me that the hologram dude is voiced by what's his name? Richard Horvitz, I think. He was a dude that voiced, if you guys ever saw Invader Zim.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Which I remember when I first
Doom.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was the first game or the second game that introduced this guy. But I just remember going like, oh shit, it's the Zim voice. I just like desperately wanted these characters to be switched around because I just wanted an Invader Zim game basically.
Invader Zim game.
It was never gonna happen, but.
And apparently also Raz from Psychonauts.
Yeah, Raz from Psychonauts. Richard Horvitz done like a ton of stuff. I think he voiced one of the Beavers in the Angry Beavers too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was
that really hyper one.
Yeah, Daggett.
I love that show.
Just let me slip into something a little.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good show.
Southern comfortable.
Man, I don't even know how far we are through the first world.
You said it's about 5 missions per world?
I think there's about 5 per world, and that was that 3?
Find a leg, Tallman. I don't know.
I was really hoping we get into the
over
next into the Hollywood level, the next one. The what is it called?
Is that the Hong Kong one?
Hong Kong's 4. 2 is a ripoff of Hollywood that is. Man, was it Sunnywood? Sunnywood. Yeah.
You're doing really good with those names.
Wow.
It was that was the one area that if you went around reading people's minds, there was some more risque lines.
Right.
If I recall correctly. I was hoping we could get there and maybe check some of them out.
That's weird too, because I don't remember that style of humor being in the first. I think.
Yeah.
I think the first one was far more just going for satire or parody of like 50s alien movies and all that stuff. Because I don't remember there being like any of the God, what game does it remind me of that style of humor?
I am in love with an Armenian engine, and
I was gonna say Leisure Suit Larry, but no, I don't think that's right either. But I don't know, there's just a certain type of game around this era, and like especially the PS2 era that was going for like it looks like it's for kids a little, but actually piss and fuck,
push some of the limits.
Yeah,
they were thinking about the loosest slots. Yeah, that's fair.
Wow, I love this dude you are right now. Can we see him from the front?
Leg Tallman. Leg Tallman.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want a game about that.
I gotta get there in a minute.
Oh, jeez. Like Tallman ain't a fast man.
This timer is serious business.
Despite having very long legs.
And apparently I only had to get to the bottom of the stairs, so that not nearly as far as one may have thought. And that's your kung fu master.
Right, yeah.
What voice?
Concentrate on expanding your mind.
Yeah, this is some alien master that's teaching you your
you get to meet him
special
in
powers.
Whatever the Hong Kong is.
Hong Kong one. I don't remember the name of the Hong Kong one.
That person is stuck, and that is a distant low poly ped right there.
Oh yeah, some of them are. Yeah,
those look distant.
Oh man. I could just find Distant Human in any other game. Have you guys seen the Distant Human thing?
In other games?
No, I mean, so there have been times in the past where, mainly Saints Row 3 and 4, when we were like breaking the build, we were fucking around, replacing the player with different ped models, and one of them is called Distant Human. It's just the low poly distant.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
They're...
I've tested them.
Okay, yeah.
That system has to work.
People love Distant Human now on stream.
Oh, really?
So if we ever see anything like that, it's just...
Destroy all Distant Human.
Yeah.
Distant Human came, yeah. That's great, yeah.
She sure is, but Sammy warned me to keep you out, sir.
I'm trying to remember some of the other highlights from the game. I'm just look at my notes, see if there's a...
I gotta see fair. It's about love. All right.
I was not expecting that voice from Leg Tallman. I thought he was going to sound more like Hulk Hogan. To be honest.
I'm pretty sure even if you're in a body, you still sound like Crypto, don't you?
It sounded like he had a different voice. Maybe it was just for those lines.
Got some Sonny and Cher.
Yeah, it's someone doing Jack Nicholson doing another impression.
Okay, yeah.
Sammy and Fair.
Wow.
That's as close as you can get to ripping it off.
That's entertainment.
I wonder how
that's
many...
Crypto's voice.
I wonder how many... And the target demographic age range, which I'm going to guess is like teenager to early college age for this game, in 2000, even in 2008, I wonder how many of them would have understood a Sonny and Cher reference.
Yeah.
This has got to be for a slightly older audience of individuals.
Yeah, like I get it, but I don't know. Somebody born maybe 5 or 6 years later.
We talk about that here often enough because, especially with the Saints Row games, they're very referential.
Yeah.
And at times they try to be topical in their humor, but that could date a game kind of in reverse because it's for a very specific time slot. But we have a large age range working here, and sometimes we'll joke about cartoons from the early 80s and stuff. We'll be like, yeah, we got to work that in the game somehow. They're like, hold on a second. I don't know, like, not everybody in the room got it.
Let's test this joke in another room and see how it goes.
No, sir. It's just my...
If I recall correctly, the earlier Destroy All Humans games were very... The decade they were set in was very much a part of them, right?
Yeah, like the first one was like the 50s.
Yeah, and the second one's designed to be the 60s.
Yeah. But I feel like at least with the first one, like the 50s era, I feel like more people will get that just because it still uses a lot of stuff and it's like a very iconic age that still gets referred to all the time.
Right, yeah.
And you know, like cheesy, crappy black and white movies.
Yeah.
Still a joke I think everybody gets. That also reminds me, the very first Destroy All Humans, there was a part of the town you could go to that had a drive-in theater, and you could just watch a couple public domain movies in full on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget which ones it was, but yeah, they were just crappy black and white like alien movies from the 50s that were public domain, and they just threw like 2 of them in the game, full length.
From what I hear.
I'm actually gonna look that up now. I want to know what. You remember what it? I was gonna say it's Plan 9 from Outer Space, but that's not public domain.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You got too many women. I'm gonna
Let's see.
take one off your hands.
Oh, leg, take me away.
All right.
I wish I remember the order in which to go through these. I could have made this like a 2-minute conversation.
Oh my God, really?
I'm sitting here and I can't remember the order in which to go to get through this.
Not a lot of guys who look like you could get a fabulous
Yeah, let's
diva
see.
like Phyllis Slappy.
Game facts will probably tell me. Oh my God, there's cheats in the first one.
You can't prove that.
Not without a safety deposit box full of nasty film.
Okay, they have a clip from Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, okay.
You can't prove that.
Then they have a full. Oh, Teenagers from Outer Space. That's the movie they had in there.
Teenagers from Outer
Yeah.
Space. I don't know that one. Okay.
She should get the Best Actress award.
Woohoo!
This is.
And then we just sit there and stare at her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a solo act.
Relax.
I would love to. I don't know. At some point, I'd love to try to get a hold of people who were working on this game as it was being developed at Sandblast, and kind of hear their side of it, because we saw it, from our perspective here.
Right.
There would have been a
We had
lot
a
of
couple
emails and
contacts.
decisions we wouldn't have heard about.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how long it was in development before we joined on. Was it a year? Was it 2 years?
It would have been a while.
What
Jeff
kind of
would
journey
know.
did it take? Yeah. And with some of the struggles that we saw from afar, I'd love to hear their, how it was internally for them.
Yeah.
General rule is it's almost never faster to get the UFO.
Yeah.
Because you always have to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's too bad you
And
can
then
just
find
call
out
it up
somewhere.
wherever.
And then all the pads to unlock it are side things that are just not worth doing.
Yeah. Oh, Emmy's asking if you can drive cars in this game. You cannot.
You cannot.
Actually,
At all.
Yesterday when I was playing it a little bit, I actually possessed a person just to see if I could hop in a car, and nah.
Enlighten me.
The paths of enlightenment this voice in your head refers to.
So yeah, it looks like, unfortunately, it's actually like 4 after 5 right now, but it looks like
is it?
we won't be able to make it to the other thing you guys told me about with this game, is that Hong Kong level. Sounds like it's a little racist, maybe?
It relies very heavily on
Stereotypes, yeah.
of people from that region of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could already get a little bit of flavor of that when the master was talking to Crypto in his head.
Yeah.
It's that type of
It
stuff.
doesn't get better.
Yeah, it just feels. It sounds like that style of, just like, oh, well, it needs to be China. Well, what's China? Well, it's the stereotypes we saw in those cartoons when we were growing up. So,
Try to get to some.
Yes.
it feels like this happened like even in the 2000s. But I still remember this. Like anytime, not every cartoon, but a lot of cartoons. It's like, oh, here's an episode in China. Instant it cuts to China, you just hear every goddamn time. It's just like, what's China? That and like chopsticks and like, I don't know. I'm not a cultured person. Whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Oh man.
Yeah, big time. They've got some of that too. It's not as pronounced, but in the Paris, and it's so obviously this is trying to rely heavily on parody, and
Right.
And then also evoking that 70s feel when the public discourse may have been a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's difficult. You're right with the era in which it's getting released.
Yeah, if you're doing like 70s stuff, like some of that stuff might make sense to bring up as long as you do it right. Whoa, that looked better than I expected.
That is a destroyed building.
That actually looked not half bad.
That's fine. Then we won't get out and walk over the top of it because, as I recall, the collision's really bad. And I can still move the UFO using the laser.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that effect right there, that looks decent. Even though I know it's just canned, it's just that one way.
I got space slider sighting. That's not.
Yeah, I think you were telling me that like when you go to the France level, like every NPC is just like really cowardly or something.
Yep.
It's like, That's what the French are, I guess.
You read their minds, and they just want to get out of there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2008. It was...
Yeah, it was a different time.
I guess, yeah, think about that. That was 8 years ago. But even in 8 years, like, the way people write and develop games has, like, changed a ton. Especially when it comes to stuff like that.
Well, and, you know, like, not to hang it on this game by any means, but obviously the industry as a whole has had to evolve.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of issues in the past few years talking about, you know, like, the way women are treated in the industry and female gamers and a lot of the minority representation in games and all that stuff.
Yeah, people are just, like, in the last 5 years or so, it's just a lot of studios have gotten a lot more socially conscious.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah.
I think for some of these more, I want to call it like a mid-tier game, right? You know, that would come out, kind of put it together, and sometimes lean on what had been done in the past and push it out there.
Yeah, and also it's like, on top of that, it's just like even back then, like, a lot of people working on games are like, they have kids now. So like the tones of I've noticed like tones of like even mid and indie, like every type of game, like the ones being developed by people who've been in the industry for a little bit, have like their tone has changed a lot. I don't know if you've noticed, but last E3 a lot of games got announced that's about dads and their kids.
Right.
Including God of War. It's all about Kratos having a son and stuff. So like
I am unable to decipher.
it's just interesting to see how like so many games have changed tone now that everybody's, you know, like an extra 10 years older.
Yeah. And I'd put out there that, hey, you can be inclusive and still work in some of the dick and fart jokes.
Yeah,
you know, I could think of a franchise that maybe we worked on here that
We've worked on a lot of jokes and had a lot of good time having everyone be part of it.
Well, and this brings up a good thing because we do talk about this here. Where is that line? We do want to be very inclusive in the games we make, and we pride ourselves in a lot, especially with the kind of customization you could do in the Saints Row games. And there's times when you're talking about it, and you can get that ball rolling, and sometimes you'll cross that line. But I think the people here are really good about making sure
we have
we
so
keep
many
it just in check.
People here, and everybody sees our games when we're working on all that, so it's like, and everybody's like free to like, go like, hey, maybe we should redo this thing or change it a little bit or something like that. But that's far off topic from this alien man. It sounds like Jack Nicholson though.
We got there,
Fucking Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. But part of it with this too is, again, having not played the first two, but I think the expectations of the audience for games in general kind of started to mature in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that with as far as content goes, but just expectations of what they get out of the game. And there's some of these games that, like, this game may have done very well if it had been released 4 or 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
It's just the expectations raise as you get more and more good games out. People learn how to make games better. Studios
tech
grow
advances
and learn.
to let people make better stuff quicker.
All that stuff. I remember a game I love to point to. I think it was made by Raven. It's the Wolverine Origins game.
Yeah.
It's very linear. It had some neat kind of light progression to it. But I love that game. I had a blast playing that game. I don't think it performed too well sales-wise. And I think it was just kind of out of its time. Had it come out a few years earlier, it would have done.
Yeah, that
well.
game, like, that's another thing. Like, those type of mid-tier games would happen a lot for, like, movie adaptations.
Right.
You do not see very many movie adaptation games anymore. For, like...
There we go. There's
definitely not. Yeah.
For, like, a multitude of reasons. Yeah. One, it seems like if you want to do a movie adaptation, now you make a mobile game.
Yes.
With in-app purchases, because that's cheaper and, more people are going to play it because it's on their fucking phone, you know?
Yeah.
Now it seems like if you're going to have a movie adaptation and that still comes out in this day and age, they're generally, more along the AAA line. And they might not be a movie adaptation, they just might be the same franchise.
Yeah.
Like Mad Max.
Yeah.
Not that's linked to the Mad Max games, it's just a Mad Max-based game.
Yeah.
That was, had a big budget and was like a big game in its own right.
I remember Mike Mignola, the guy who created Hellboy. Talking about this at one point. I was reading an interview he did with Game Informer after one of the Hellboy games came out. And they were asking him, like, why isn't this an adaptation of the movie or one of the comics?
Yeah.
And he said they're a different medium. You just you take the
same
spirit
thing
of
in
it,
one.
and then you do what's right for that medium.
Yeah.
And that's the approach they took for the movies, which I enjoy both the movies. Enjoy the heck out of them. The comics are great. I haven't played any of the games, but I just that's always stuck with me.
Yeah. There's very few like straight adaptation movie to game things that I think ended up good. The one I can always think of off the top of my head is Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I actually
Spider-Man
rebought
2.
that from the retro game store just down the road
Yeah.
here. I actually bought Spider-Man 2 from the game. Like, is that still good?
Yeah.
I remember the web swing would be really cool.
And have you been able to fire it up?
I've only been able to play a little bit. The web swing feels real good.
Nice.
And I forgot that all the tutorials are voiced by Bruce Campbell.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that was a nice surprise to remember.
Nice.
Forgot about that. That's so good. Yeah. Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah.
He won't get far.
He won't get far.
Oh man.
THQ had to do a lot of that balancing at a corporate level. I'm sure it was pretty challenging because, for a long time their bread and butter was the kids games and some
Yeah, they
wrestling
had, like,
licensed ones.
They had like lots of
Licensed
Nickelodeon
ones.
games and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and they signed these long-term license games, and then they kind of started to counterbalance it with some other games like the games that we released in Relic, for example. And then you'd have some of these games that would kind of fall in between a little bit, and from the way they were handled, you don't know if, from that corporate perspective, how they were viewing it, how they were viewing the audience or its positioning in the market.
Right.
I think this is one of the games that suffered from that some.
Yeah.
I'm horrible at this part.
Yeah, this was one of the things that was like one of the things I do remember when they were like back of the box type things and tout about the game was like, oh, now there's aerial combat.
Right.
The previous two, there were no airborne enemies. You were all just shooting lasering tanks on the ground and stuff.
I see. Yeah.
We got helicopters now.
Yeah, the other trick to remember is the helicopters always want to be above you, but there is a ceiling, so they all stop, and then you can just ride right up to them.
And if I remember correctly, these helicopters mess you up pretty good.
They do, and you can also grab them and recharge you.
Nice.
And then drop it.
Can you blow up the dam? I don't think so.
No.
That'd be cool though.
Will there ever be a new DA? So,
I don't know who
destroy all
who even
humans.
owns the rights to it now?
Yeah,
I'm not
the
sure.
IP got bundled in. So when THQ went bankrupt and parts of it got auctioned off, we were bought along with the Saints Row IP by Deep Silver.
Yep.
And then some other ones were bought, like Relic, and their IPs were bought by Sega, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then everything that was kind of left over afterwards was packaged into this one lot that people could bid on, and Nordic Games ended up getting it. And I'm pretty sure that the Destroy All Humans IP lives with that, along with the Red Faction IP ended up getting lumped into that as well.
Yeah.
You know who know Wikipedia? They know all.
Yeah.
This is kind of a long fight.
You gotta take out a bunch of them.
Breaker 19, Alligator Station. This is Wild Turkey. You got
And Nordics, they did do an update to Red Faction Grill on the PC. They did that Steam edition.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I hear it was a really good update, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we
fixed a lot of frame rate problems.
Yeah, we
did
talked about
a bunch of other small stuff.
Yeah, we talked about this last time we streamed Red Faction. I think some previous stream when we were streaming one of our games, we brought this up. But yeah, if I remember correctly, they patched the hell out of it and like made it really nice for multiplayer and stuff. Yeah,
that's great. The biggest thing they could do is yank out the games for Windows Live, because I know that went defunct, but that was, I believe, a required login for a long time.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on this because I might be wrong.
There we go. Wikipedia has confirmed that Nordic has been
Yeah, don't quote me on this, Mike. If you're listening right now, maybe you remember, but I think part of that patch also added physics to the multiplayer.
Oh.
Yes, made a new profile here. I have like 60 gamer points right now. I can't wait. I'm gonna get to 1 million someday.
Good luck with that, man. Let me know how that goes.
Oh, what were you saying? They patched and fixed what?
I think they because if I remember correctly, Red Faction Guerrilla didn't have the destructible physics in the multiplayer because it was too hard with the netcode. Or is it really limited? It did? Okay.
Yeah, you could destroy buildings in multiplayer.
There was a restriction. I think we had to turn off some of the Havoc properties. Stephen Horde would know because he was programming.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
I think they just ended up having to keep things bigger.
Yeah, Mike got back to me in the chat. He hadn't heard that physics fix. I think I'm mixing that with a story I heard from when some people who worked on Guerrilla were telling me about how they couldn't get physics into multiplayer, and then one of them eventually figured out and just put it all in. It was like, holy shit, like, it actually works. I think that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. That's our 10th anniversary stream.
It's been 10 years already?
Yeah, 2006, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember when in 2006, though.
Our studio's anniversary is coming up in, like, August, I think?
There's a far more useful
What year?
I think it's the 20th this year.
And if I asked,
Yeah.
20th from being Volition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Volition's 20th anniversary.
Wow.
I think that's coming up soon.
Time flies.
Yeah. I got ideas for the anniversary, though, for when we stream.
Nice.
Yeah.
What? We're gonna power the saucer
man.
with mutant monkey leftover waste?
But anyways, it's getting pretty late now. It's like more than a quarter past 5, so...
Extra special stream.
Yeah. Man, you just sink in this couch and it's like really hard to get out. Like, it's good for napping, though. Shit. All right.
Definitely waiting until we turn off the stream to try and stand up out of this.
Yeah. This feels like... I want to set like a pulley system so you can just like lift yourself out or something.
Just right here off frame, there's a bar.
Yeah.
So if you want to see these re-released, start sending your emails to Nordic Games.
Man, still in this world, I thought it would be done.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to be nice and let everyone read it.
Yeah.
I could sit there and spam A.
That's fine. It just seems like there's, well, maybe this is the 5th mission, but either way, we should probably wrap it up now.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
This was fun. Thanks for having us on.
Oh,
yeah.
It was a blast.
It was, yeah, I always like being able to get people on here and like talk about stuff they worked on in the past, just because, like you were saying, not too many
long ago.
Not too many inside stories ever come out about games, just because I don't know, like this community, the game industry feels to me at least, from my experience for the last year working here, is like it's pretty tight knit. Like a lot of people know a lot of people and stuff, but because of that too, like stories never really come out for the most part, unless it's somebody who's like not working or the studio's shut down or something like that, and it's 10 years later, somebody writes a book about it or something like that. It's like, well, here's a retrospective on Daikatana or something like that. So yeah, it's all. I always really like being able to get people on to talk about stuff, just because I don't know. I feel like there's a lot people can learn from hearing about how games are made.
Yeah, I very much agree with that.
Yeah.
It's always a lot more different than what people think.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, and some of these games that come out and like this one don't perform that well. There is a story there.
Yeah, and
people sunk a lot of time and passion into this game.
Yeah,
and it's
the one you always get is it's exactly like Grandma's Boy.
It's just like Grandma's Boy.
Yeah, it's when I first started working here. It's like, okay, there's 2 things I'm pretty sure I think are funny jokes, but I should not mention. That's Grandma's Boy. Don't bring that up, and don't talk about cranking levels up on cranking the graphics up on level 3.
Yeah, and tightening up the graphics.
that just seems. I just thought like, oh, I bet the QA testers used a joke about that like 15 years ago, and now if they hear it, they're just like, shut up, shut up.
Another one of those guys.
Think you're being clever, huh?
Another one of them.
Oh, thanks, Cypher. Yeah, this was fun. It was fun to come on and talk about this game. We're saying we don't think we touched it since we worked on it.
Oh no, someone in my house played it.
Somebody in your house played it.
But I'm pretty sure I didn't touch it. I still have it shrink wrapped on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, I looked that up too. It's not worth that much.
So we're not going to be unboxing that one on stream.
Oh yeah, Crypto.
Oh yeah,
Crypto. Say bye.
That's actually a pretty decent bobblehead.
This is great. Yeah.
I wish I could remember where I put mine.
I should show you.
I got one from that guy.
If we ever do you haven't done an RFA stream yet, have you? Armageddon.
We have not done Armageddon. No, we've
done
Gorilla.
Armageddon at some point. Let me know.
Right,
I'll bring out my Armageddon statue scene that we got for that. It's not as well made as this one.
It was for Gorilla, but at some point I'll have to lug in the actual hammer that's
Oh
in
yeah, the
in
actual
lobby.
hammer.
We've had the
we got,
plastic hammer in here before.
Construction mech figures from that weren't too bad actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like fully articulated. Yeah.
Cool.
Those were cool.
And yeah, I mean, we have like a ton of Saints Row items in the front lobby too. Maybe for the 20th anniversary, something we'll bring some of those in and show them off too. We have like a
whole bunch of nice props.
Yeah, we have a 40.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's still unopened, but if you look at it, the bottom, it's really gross now. It's starting to like build up something at the bottom. Don't open that. Don't drink it, please.
That was for the first one, I think.
You'd have to definitely pour that one out.
Oh wait, somebody! I bet we could get Mitch to drink that on the stream.
Oh God!
Give him $5.
Mitch, don't do it.
And we'll have him eat the
Mitch,
Reese's
totally. We're not talking about what you're going to be doing.
The peanut butter cup at his desk that he's had for. I think longer than I've worked.
Oh,
here.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Got Foss to eat a fridge Kit Kat the other day. That was disturbing. Found a Kit Kat under a fridge.
Mitch is going to drink it. There we go. A confirmation.
All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Thanks for being on, dudes. Thanks everybody.
Anytime.
Thanks everybody for watching. We're Volition. We stream every week on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific, 22 GMT. I'm Josh Stinson, the StreamZar / associate video editor. And today we also had...
I'm Ryan Mansfield. I'm a QA tester.
Rob Gable, associate producer.
And we also
Thanks,
had our community developer Mike Watson, being a cool dude, moderating the chat, talking to people. Thanks, Mike. Hi, Mike.
Being an awesome guy all around.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Later.